Welcome everyone, and welcome Bob Nunez, Chair of the Santa Clara County Republican Party, and newly elected City Councilman in Milpitas. Congratulations.
Thank you.
And Steve Preminger, Chair of the Santa Clara County Democratic Party. So I ask each of you to pick a race or a set of candidates that you thought was particularly significant in the local round of elections. Steve, what was your pick?
Well, I picked a few elections. The one that stood out for me was the race for the 27th Assembly District. The race was between two Democrats in a partisan race, but because of the top two primaries, that's what we work with, between Ash Kalra and Madison Nguyen. And I think a lot of the smart money, and there was a lot of money in the race, really was expecting—
I think it was $9 million altogether.
Unbelievable amount of money. And most of it not raised by the candidates.
Right.
That came from stakeholders or interest groups that I wouldn't think would play in Santa Clara County, but the legislature's a big place and folks want to have relationships. So I know the charter school industry, I think, weighed in on Madison's campaign to the tune of about $4 million.
Some pretty nasty mailings.
Very nasty, ugly stuff. Didn't really talk about issues.
Right.
So I think voters knew Ash Kalra. He's a current council member in San Jose, I guess now for a very short time. But he was out there campaigning. He would be at every single event in the 27th Assembly District, talked about his issues, talked about his values, and had a great cadre of volunteers.
Where did the volunteers come from?
They probably came from the local schools and from labor, and folks came from a number of places. But
in the Democratic Party, he was Democratic endorsed, wasn't he?
oh, you know what? That's a very fair point. I forgot my what hat I was wearing. The Democratic Party was very interested in that race, thinking that it was going to be all uphill because, again, Madison had the money. She finished, I think, 15 points ahead in the primary. Right. Kind of, wiped out all the other candidates that ran. And we're enthusiastic and excited because of the reason we endorsed him, which is he's very good promoting democratic values. He's hardworking. He's very accessible. He's not a monolithic thinker. He's interested in hearing all points of view. I would think everybody would be enthusiastic about a guy like that.
Quit selling now, he's elected.
And enough voters agreed with me so that he's in.
So, Bob, this was one of many cases where the Republican Party was frozen out. There were 5 races in this county, 3 Assembly, 1 Senate, 1 Congressional, that because of the top 2 primary, it was Democrat versus Democrat. There were 27 districts statewide, and of course there was the U.S. Senate seat.
Right.
In that U.S. Senate race, 1.5 million people didn't vote for U.S. Senator who voted for president. So my suspicion is they were Republicans who weren't too happy with the choice. How's the Republican Party going to cope with this? You're getting frozen out of races.
Out of some races. So in this race, this race, we purposely stayed out of this race. What we have decided to do is ask the candidates that did run in the primary, that are Republicans, their preference. What did they want us to do? And in this race, our candidate asked us to stay neutral, and we did. You can take a look at some other races in this county where we actually decided to support one of the Democrats in the race, not endorse, but support. But in this case, we gathered the Central Committee.
What's that mean, support but not endorse?
Didn't
we hear this a lot about Republicans with Donald Trump too?
I hope not. I think what we did is said, okay, we will go out and we will inform our members, our Republicans, that this person has certain values that are Republican. Maybe not all. Maybe he has a business sense. Maybe they have certain things that our candidates, we would wish to have our candidates would also be looking at. But that's the person that we would like them to vote for. But it's different than an endorsement, is that we're not going to spend money on them. But that we.
But overall, the top 2 primary working like this can't be a good thing for the Republican Party in California.
Well,
You're down to 26% registration statewide. I think under 20% registered Republicans in Santa Clara County.
well, and I've heard that. I think that if you take a look at our numbers overall, we don't have the numbers to say that we are going to be in the top 10. We're going to be in the top two. If in fact we don't have it mandated. And what we want to be able to say is who are the top two persons that we would want in that race. So would we like to go back? You know, I've heard that discussion by some Republicans, but right now we think we'd like to have the top two persons that the electorate would like us to have there.
You were known for your sort of aw shucks, country boy, chewing tobacco, storytelling style, folksy style at city council meetings, which was very entertaining to the audience and apparently very effective with the decision makers. How much do you think your style had to do with your success?
Let me put it like this. The first and foremost thing is to know what you're talking about.
Okay.
Secondly is to be trustworthy. And third, you gotta present something in a style that you're comfortable with. And you understand that was not an act. That is my roots.
Yeah.
You know. And when you put the whole combination together, it served me very well.
You are an Oklahoma boy. I think your family tried to get you to go back to Oklahoma.
Yes.
To run for governor.
Yes.
Why didn't you do that?
I said you can have fame and fortune, but you can't have both. And I want fortune, and that's in California.
So you stayed with us
Yes.
to build your fortune.
Yeah.